Uganda is facing increasing pressure to sustain its refugee response following funding cuts from major humanitarian donors. The country hosts more than 2 million refugees and asylum seekers, making Uganda one of Africa's largest refugee hosting countries. Women and children make up about 70% of the refugee population. While the number of refugees continues to grow, Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Sam Engola, says funding to support them is declining.
Because of the government of America decided to pull out all the aids which they were giving us, so we are in problems trying to ask for new donors to help the refugees because Uganda government has already given them land and peaceful place to stay. So when you see that there is no more funding, many of the NGOs have withdrawn because they are getting the funding mainly from the American government.
The funding shortfall is already affecting humanitarian operations, with several NGOs scaling down or withdrawing from refugee programs after losing their major sources of funding.
Funding is not there. There's no money. We're operating at a loss because there's no gain. We're just helping. These are refugees whom is not a business. It's just loss.
With humanitarian funding shrinking, the question now is how Uganda plans to sustain its refugee response while continuing to receive new arrivals.
We can't plan because it is if people do donate. If somebody is not donating, you can't force. It is just a willingness.
So what's the way forward now?
Way forward is the refugees to go back to their home. Simple. Like the Burundians, 17,000 have gone back on their own. The new one who are coming because the refugee is somebody who has run away from his country because of war, and you can't force somebody to die. So that's why Uganda is very hospitality, welcoming them and receiving them.
While some refugees have already voluntarily returned home, others have returned to Uganda.
The Burundian refugees, 17,000, decided to go back on their own. But last 2 months, again, 980 from Tanzania came back. We don't know what is happening or why. You cannot question because they're refugees. So we don't know whether they came from Tanzania or instead of going back to their country, they decided to come here. But as refugees, we cannot question them.
Amidst these challenges, we asked Minister Engola whether they are open to refugees. The minister had this to say.
Yeah, and it's still open. We had suspended the registration because of Ebola crisis, but now Ebola has been declared free. Some of them are coming after the checking of the Ministry of Health that they don't have Ebola. Mainly the Sudanese who have come in, we are recovering, we are receiving them, and the registration is continuing.
Seeing that Uganda is hosting over 2 million refugees and managing it well, I think Uganda have the best practice in Africa.
The minister made the remarks on the sidelines of a regional workshop bringing together government officials from Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Burundi, Sudan, South Sudan and Somalia, as well as representatives from the Embassy of Japan.
Since 2009, JICA has been working with the government of Uganda for supporting the post-conflict recovery and also IDP detained and resettlement, especially in the sub-regions.
At a time when resources are increasingly constrained, effectiveness and efficiency are more important than ever. Learning from one another's experience can help us make the best use of available resources and strengthen our collective response to displacement challenges.
The delegates are also expected to visit some refugee settlements in Uganda to assess the response on the ground and share experiences on what is working and where improvements are needed. Nobat at Kunda, NTV News.